If you are watching this video, most probably you would know of somebody that is receiving pensions from the government. Do you know how pensions work and who, in fact, gives out those pensions to those pensioners? Today I speak to KWAP CEO Dato Kamaruzaman about the whole business of pensions.
The biggest difference between us and EPF is that EPF has withdrawals and has outflows, whereas KWAP, as said today, there is no outflows. Even though we have been paying pension to the 700,000 pensioners, but that is from an operating account which the money is given to us by Accountant General Office on a monthly basis. Our investment account, the one that has 137 billion, is untouched. And this is where we keep investing in long terms and keep generating returns. And that is why we can grow faster than EPF in terms of percentage. Maybe the first quarter in particular, a lot of risk was addressed, especially global risk, and that led to positive investor sentiments. But maybe Malaysia itself has some risk coming ahead, and that is why I think investors are quite wary, and maybe due to the attractiveness of other markets, and that's why people are shifting from our markets to the overseas markets.
There is also the element of Malaysians living longer, and therefore, since pensions are continued to be given to the recipient until that person dies, and even if that person dies, there is this thing called terbitan, which means you might be able to transfer the pensions to your loved ones, mostly your spouse. This means that the obligation to fulfill the pensions will continue to go on for a number of years, in fact decades. How will this shape the burden of EPF and, for that matter, KWAP in managing these obligations?
We probably will be achieving around 5.5 or maybe 5.6%. I think that's the likelihood at this point of time. But generally, this is slightly a better performance than last year, where we only hit about 5.37% performance. Although over the last maybe 10 years, we have achieving above 6%, but generally that is because when interest rates globally was on the high side. Now that interest rates are lower, we will not be able to achieve the same kind of returns, because quite a chunk of our portfolio, now currently 50% of our portfolio is invested in fixed income, which returns are generally lower for the last few years. Oh, no, gross income, I think we will probably hit about 7.4 billion actually, and that would translate to an ROI of about 5.6%, and a TWRR of probably above 7%. And our fund size will grow from 125 billion to, we are expecting about 138 billion by the end of the year, which actually reflecting a double-digit growth in terms of the fund size.
Yes. And finally, the whole notion of Malaysian household debt reaching high levels, that is 88%. Will it reach 90%, and how will this impact the investment of KWAP going forward?
The way I look at those numbers, obviously, is I look at it with a lot of concerns, because it is really very difficult to come down. It's not coming down at all. In fact, in terms of absolute amount, obviously, it is rising. But generally, the only heartening thing to see is that it is not so much about other debts. There are a lot of it are residential debts, which is actually backed by assets actually. But the issue thing, I think, due to even personal financing is quite high actually, and that reflects, that's a worrisome numbers for me, because it really reflects that most Malaysians do not have enough savings actually, and because of that, I think they have to resort to personal financing, and you can see it's a thriving business. Bank Rakyat, MBSB, and so many others who provide personal financings, and they are all doing very well in terms of their bottom line.
30% interest per
So
year.
that is, I think, my biggest concern when I look at that chart actually.
Okay. That's it from me for Viva. Find out more on astro.com. Email us your views at viva@astro.com.my. I'm Ibrahim Sani, signing off.